Peace and blessings. Fuck Charles Darwin, America's hero. I just want to bring him to the forefront because at the end of the day, if you are a white European in America and over in Europe, you are very familiar with Charles Darwin's theory because this is basically the premise or the foundation of all racism that exists on the planet today. So as long as they still teach Charles Darwin's theory in schools, America will exist to be in the state that it continuously finds itself in, which is facing racist issues all the goddamn time. So I'm just saying, at the end of the day, fuck Charles Darwin, America's hero. Um, I just want to briefly get into it. I don't want to really take too much time on him for right now. But on this channel, I will be sharing a lot of information that deals with scientific racism because that's basically how they try to justify slavery, survival of the fittest, man evolving from ape. You know what I'm saying? So all that in one light is true, but it only applies to a certain few. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Charles Darwin, you know, this racist ass bastard. Because this dude, I mean, people try to make it seem like he's not a problem. And he is a problem. And the thing about him is when you teach this shit in colleges, those white kids, they come out of those classrooms thinking that I'm more superior. And yes, Darwin's theory does have a basis. Of course, it would have a basis if it deals with your species or your particular kind, right? So at the end of the day, he does have a basis. But in terms of being racist, see, they did evolve from apes, monkeys, or whatever. Hence the RH blood, you know what I'm saying? You know, you have O positive, but you got RH negative and shit like that or whatever. So the RH, the rhesus monkey gene. Yeah, so I'm just saying, pardon me. I'm just saying when it comes to dealing with this shit, see, you have to understand that a lot of this stuff comes from this man. Hitler, I mean eugenics, I mean all this shit comes from this dude. And this is like, you know, this is the 1800s and shit. So let me read a little bit real quick over here. It says, but the most weighty of all arguments against treating the races of man as distinct species is that they graduate into each other independently, in many cases as far as we can judge of their having intercrossed. Man has been studied more carefully than any other animal, and yet there is the greatest possible diversity amongst capable judges whether he should be classed as a single species. And then he goes through all of this shit right here. So basically, the descent of man, right, on the races, he's trying to show how things break apart. And during that separation, right, you putting people into these categories. Now, I already showed y'all in the Hidden Self lecture who we are, how we came to be. So I ain't gotta go back into that. You can go into the Hidden Self lecture. But as far as this being concerned, this man is a problem. And as long as his theory is in these schools, once again, America will not change. They not trying to get rid of this nigga. Like, he is the end all be all for anything dealing with them. Period. He's like, all right, check this shit out right here. Because I want you to understand how people see you. Really. I mean, we have our pride and all that shit, but look at this. Theory at DNA Pioneers Theory. Africans are less intelligent than Westerners. Really? Okay. Celebrated scientists attack for race comments, right? All our social policies are based on the fact that their intelligence is the same as ours, whereas all the testing says not really. So, you see, this stuff, they try to have a basis, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, let me read that down here. One of the world's most eminent scientists was embroiled in an extraordinary role last night after he claimed that the black people were less intelligent than white people, and the idea that equal powers of reason were shared across racial groups was a delusion. So, see, first off, you have to think about, well, what type of, um, let's just say, powers of reasoning, what perspective is that coming from? You know, people, they play this game, and it's like they try to push the information as if it's like a human thing. But at the end of the day, we are not the same. And they don't want to separate that, because once you start breaking that line, you start discovering, right? So I'm just saying, I'm not a racist. All right. I had to put that disclaimer out once again. So this is just a way for them to feel good about themselves as they conquest across the globe, as they have done and still doing, right? So it's just justification. We are this type of species. And because we are this type of species, we are able to do this and we are entitled to that. And that's just the way that goes, right? So, implication of Darwinism for devaluing human life. Okay, so here we go. Human inequality. That's number one. Human inequality. Okay, number two, moral relativism undermining human rights. Okay, number three, animal ancestry of humans. Okay, number four, denial of body soul dualism. And number five, human struggle for existence. So, number one, human inequality. Basically, it's like we ain't equal, and he knows that, but he's going to make it work in his favor because they have what is known as the printing press. So they control all the shit as far as for reading is concerned. Number two, moral relativism undermining human rights. Okay, so basically, let's just say if a child is dying, right? Well, not dying. I'm sorry. Say like if a child is born with a deformity, and they feel as though that child is, it's just better off dead. No one wants that around or whatever. They will kill that child, right? And it will be based on a act of moral relativism, undermining human rights, the moral aspect of it all, right? So number three, animal ancestry of humans, meaning evolving from apes, coming from, the beasts, right? They did, not us. So like I'm saying, that shit is true, but RH, rhesus monkey gene, I'm sorry. So remember that. Number four, denial of body soul dualism, meaning that you have, like I said, the light body, and then you have your physical body. What they saying is basically the light body doesn't exist. But that's true though. But it's with them, not us. You understand what I'm saying now? So denial of body soul dualism, meaning that there is no two, only one. And once one is done, one is done. And that's true for them. Number five, human struggle for existence. Human struggle for existence. The conquest is all based on human struggle. Okay? So when they beating the shit out of, the darker people of the nations of whatever, you feel me, just whipping the shit out of niggas in the name of whatever, they're doing it and they're going to say, well, it's because of the human struggle for existence. Okay? We must spread our seed and we must have legacies, etc., etc., etc. You see what I'm saying now? So I just wanted to, break that down a little bit. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna have more, you know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to keep this one brief. So yeah, we're gonna get more into Charles Darwin. Uh, Stay tuned, and thanks for coming back. And yeah, the holidays, that was one of them things. But yeah, I'm trying to get it back on point now. So all right, y'all, peace.